All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Michelle Quirk. I'm a pediatrician and run coach and the founder of Mindful Marathon, where I help make running easy and fun for busy professionals. And today I have a very special guest with me. I have my friend, Dr. Laura Suttin here. She is a family physician, coach, business owner, and author. And she is the founder of the Purposeful MD, providing individual and group coaching as well as speaking to physicians and medical groups. And her first book, The Purposeful MD, Creating the Life You Love Without Guilt, was just published this October of 2024. And she is a runner and she loves running for both the physical and mental aspects of the sport. And I can't wait to ask her a lot more questions about that. So, Dr. Sutton, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. So good to be here.
Yeah, it's great to chat. We always end up chatting about running whenever we see each other, so this is just an extension of that.
Yeah.
So maybe tell us a little bit about yourself and about your journey as a runner. Like, have you always been a runner?
So I'm a family physician. I live in South Central Texas, and I right now full time in my business and my coaching business. So as far as running, I did not like running when I was a kid. I've not always been a runner. I picked it up again a little bit when I was in residency, actually, just as a stress relief, just as something to do, something that was easy. And it was hard for me to get started. I remember that first mile that I did in my residency that was tough. And but I loved it. I really loved how it made me feel. And then of course graduated or finished residency and had a baby right around the same time. So I wasn't able to do as much then, but it was just kind of happenstance that my daughter's dad, we were no longer married, but when he and I were we were at a garage sale down the street from our house, and my daughter was maybe 6 months old at the time, and they were selling a jogging stroller, and we thought, oh, this might be fun. So bought the jogging stroller, and I started jogging with my daughter in it as a baby, and she loved it. She loved just being in the stroller and the winds like blowing in her hair, like just she just loved it. And it was great for my husband because he was staying home with her at the time. So I
Mhm.
would come home from work and he would basically hand her off to me, and he loved to cook. So he would cook. He would say, just take her and I want to cook dinner for 30 minutes. And I don't love to cook. So it was great it was a, it was a great, coupling there where I would take her in the stroller, 30 minutes or so of jogging in the neighborhood, and he would cook dinner. We'd all be happy. And then my colleagues started signing up for some fun runs. And so I did a couple fun runs with them, and I was hooked. And then not long after that, I trained for my first half marathon.
Mhm.
So that
Yeah.
was 12 years ago.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, we started running around the same time, I think.
Yes. Yes. We didn't know each other then, but yeah.
No. Yeah, and
Yeah.
similar journey. Like I was not always a runner and I hated it and it was really hard and
Yes.
found it during the sort of tough time when I was not getting a lot of sleep. But
Yes.
yeah, and then things quickly, yeah, I don't know. I quickly got hooked also and signed up for a race, and then that led to everything else.
Mhm.
How has your relationship with running changed? I mean, 12 years is not that long, but also a while. Like, how has it changed over the years? Maybe different goals that you've had or just different areas where you've placed your focus over the years.
Yeah, I think after I did that first half marathon, I really wanted to continue with the racing and the challenge, and I wanted to get faster. So I did, and I was able to get faster, get stronger. And then COVID hit, and so many things happened all at once. With COVID, and my husband and I had planned a wedding for right at the beginning of COVID. We had to put that off. My father passed away. I know you lost your father as well, and that has a lot to do with your journey into running.
Hmm.
Um, all of that stress, I think, really just it had an impact on my body that it was really challenging for me. And so I had to take a break from running where I needed some physical therapy, needed to just kind of stop. And then getting back into it, I reached out to you. You and I were working together for a little bit, And I really had to readjust my thinking. And I mean, you helped with this a ton from, okay, maybe it's not about the speed or the pace, but just getting out there and enjoying it and time on your feet and how, how can your goals shift with this new stage of your life? I'm in my mid 40s, and so my body is not the same as it was 10 years ago. And so just having to really accept some of the life changes that have gone on over the past 5 years that have made me slower, and I have to be okay with that. And I am okay with that because I mean, I'm not trying to the goals I set for myself are arbitrary. And if I'm right, I mean, if I'm
Yeah,
trying to
yeah,
be as
yeah.
fast as I was 5 years ago, but why? Is it just so I can say I'm fat? Like nobody is standing there with a stopwatch telling me, "Hey, you need to be faster than you were 5 years ago." So it's really about how to, just like you say, is run the mile I'm in, and the mile I'm in right now in my life is a little bit more slowed down, and that's okay. So yeah, definitely
Yeah.
changed.
Yeah, no, a lot of that resonates with me as well. I think when I started, I was, you get easily hooked and then you want to try to get faster and then try all of these new distances. And it's everything is new and kind of exciting. But yeah, at some point, like we can't always just get faster and faster infinitely.
Right, right,
And I like to remind people that we're not professional runners, and like most of us don't get paid to do this, and it's supposed to be for fun. So,
right.
but
Yes.
yes, we can still have time goals. But yeah, sometimes, but it can be really hard to, yeah, see yourself in different phases of life and getting slower for whatever reason that may be.
Mhm. Yeah.
What
Yeah.
with people, I mean, I'm sure there are people listening who are currently either in a break from running or a forced break from running for injuries. What advice, maybe from your experience with that and taking time off and going back to it, what advice might you have for the runners out there currently listening from the couch, maybe?
Yes. So I actually am right now on a break from running. So I don't know if I don't think you knew that. So I hope that's not I hope I'm not dropping that bomb.
No, it's
Um,
okay.
but yeah, I am taking a break for a couple months. Again, just some things that I'm listening to my body. I need to slow down a little bit. Um, But it doesn't mean that I am not going to get back out there. And it doesn't mean that I am still not a runner. I think it's this identity that we
Mhm,
have of, well, I'm a runner, so that's what I do. And it's the same, similar to like me being a physician, even though I'm not practicing actively with patients. I'm not seeing
yeah.
patients right now. I'm still a physician. And so I've really had to wrestle with that identity with myself. But I'm still a runner. I still, do take care of my body in the way that I need to as a runner. Still identify as a runner. So I think
Mhm,
it's just about understanding that just because you take a break, it doesn't mean that it's forever. It doesn't mean that you can't go back to it. It doesn't mean that you failed at something. It doesn't mean that you're not as good as you were, or just all these things that we can tell ourselves, and this mental game that we can play about what it means is uh, how it signifies our worth, or
mhm.
um, yeah, it doesn't, it's what you make of it. And if it's just, hey, I'm taking a break from running, and that's all it is, then that's all it has to be. We don't have to assign a lot of meaning to it.
Yeah. No, I think what you say really, I mean, it hits home for me, and I know a lot of people out there, but just because you aren't running right now doesn't mean you're any less of a runner.
Right.
But it is hard because and most of us are like high achieving people, and we attach a lot of meaning to numbers and goals and things set on the calendar. So
Mhm.
when there's not something on the calendar, it might feel like you're doing less or you should be doing more and all of those things.
Oh yes, I've had those conversations with myself lots.
Yeah. I like
Yeah.
to have people plan a season of rest. Like, even if people have goals for the next year or whatever it is, 2 years in running, and they have certain race goals on the calendar, we plan seasons of rest in there,
Mhm.
just because, yeah, it's too much on the body and the mind to just keep going and going. Eventually, yeah, something has to give. And
Mhm.
often that is the body telling us in various ways, needing more sleep, having things, aches and pains, or
Mhm.
you end up forced into resting. So I'd rather it be
Exactly.
let's plan for it. And
Right.
this is kind of my season, usually like the end of fall, early winter when the weather isn't maybe as great here in the Northeast. I'm just running a lot less than spring and summer.
Yeah. 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 I love that. I mean, it's true. We have to force it or it will be forced upon us. Or we have to plan it or it will be forced upon us, not force it. But yeah.
Agree.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I just want to transition, so I want to talk about your book. Maybe t tell us why you wrote the book, and then I want to hear about it.
Yeah. So thank you. My book is called The Purposeful MD, Creating the Life You Love Without Guilt. I started writing it probably maybe about 2 years ago. It came from a series of blogs I was doing for the company I was working for. It was just kind of a weekly blog. And at the time I was working with a business coach who encouraged me to start to turn this into a book.
Mhm.
And I really hadn't thought up until that point that I could write a book. But I realized how much I enjoyed it. And it was something that was fulfilling for me. And I was getting a lot of feedback from people that it was helping them. And I thought, if I do a book, I bet it could help a lot of other people too.
Mhm.
And so I went for it. And I received a recommendation from our dear friend Aaron Wiseman for a book
Yeah,
writing coach, Brooke Adams Law, who's amazing. And so through a series of drafts and iterations, published the book in October of this year.
congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
I want to hear too about writing. How did you, I know you had some of the writing already done, but how did you work that into your schedule? Like, did you plan time to write, or was it more spontaneous and you would do it in bigger chunks? I'm just
Yeah.
interested in the process a little.
Yeah, it was a little bit of both. And it was very odd because the book is really about managing time and energy. And
Yeah.
so it's like, okay, if I'm literally writing a book about how to manage your time, then I've got to find the time to write this book. And so I think that's the beauty of having a, a writing coach. And I think that's the beauty of working with any sort of coach is the accountability.
Mhm, mhm.
I'm working with her. I've hired her to give me feedback on the drafts, and then we set a deadline.
Okay.
And okay, by 4 months from now on this date, you're going to send me your next draft. You're going to increase the word count by this much. So it was a kind of an external accountability, which I think a lot of us as physicians we tend to rely on that, and we tend to need
Yeah.
that to some extent. So that was really helpful. It was a combination of writing during set times. I would usually find early in the morning was just a quieter, better time for me. So getting up a little bit earlier to do some writing. I did a couple of writing retreats
Mhm.
where I would actually book a hotel like on a Saturday night locally,
Okay.
and check in the afternoon, write all afternoon and all
Wow.
evening, sleep there, and then write in the morning, and then check out and come home. Just so I was away from the my typical
Mhm,
environment and
mhm.
more focused. So that helped with the spurts.
Yeah, wow. No, it's really interesting. And I've thought for a while in the back of my mind, there's a book brewing somewhere. We're not there yet, but I'm taking notes and filing them for later.
Yes, I love it. I love it.
But it feels a little daunting, like at this moment. So
Yeah, I mean it can be, but yeah, that's exciting for you.
yeah, well, I'm very excited to share yours with everybody. Well, tell everybody where they can find out about you and your coaching and where to buy the book.
Yeah, the best place is my website. So it's thepurposefulmd.com. And you can find out how to work with me on there, book a call with me, and then purchase my book from there as well. And my book's also available on online retailers, and it's in paperback and Kindle, or paperback and ebook right now. I'm working on an audiobook
Ooh,
actually. So
amazing.
that will be available early next year.
Okay, so for the runners listening after the new year, 2025, maybe if you are a podcast or ebook listener, go grab it.
Yes. Yes, I started narrating it.
That's
That's
awesome.
a lot of fun.
Oh, well, thank you so much for joining us. And I love hearing runners' stories, just sharing
Thank
stories
you.
from everybody. So, and I
Thank
can't wait for
you.
everybody to read your book.
Thanks so much, Michelle. Great to talk with you.
Always. And I will see you hopefully soon, and we can run together again soon.
I love that.
All right. And thanks everyone for listening, and we will catch you on the next one. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode. If you liked it, please subscribe and share it with a friend. And if you are a newer runner or a runner who hasn't run in a while and you're looking to get back into the sport, you can find out how to work with me over on my website, which is mindful-marathon.com. See you on the next episode.